One thing that we love about The Point is engaging with you guys and hearing your stories, reading your stories, and sharing them in this segment. And we do want to do this segment at least once a month. But some of you think that we don't actually read the comments, which of course is baloney. So let me give you a comment written by Freethinker3161. He says, I like you guys because you're different from my local news station. But when you ask me to leave my story about something I said about someone and regretted, because you guys want to hear them, I call bullshit. I think about my local news station saying to put your stories on the Facebook page. LOL, please, they don't give a shit, and neither do you. Anna, are you really gonna read all the commenters' stories? Probably not, and I wouldn't either. Much love. Well, Freethinker, we obviously read your comment, and we're doing an entire segment where we read and respond to some of the comments. So I totally understand some people think that we are, too big to care about what you have to say, but it's not true. We want this show to be different from other shows by engaging with you, by hearing your stories. We want to talk with you. We want to have a conversation instead of talking to you. That's why we don't have teleprompters. That's why we don't have scripts. We want this to be a conversation. So thank you for sharing your points, and hopefully in the future you'll share some of your stories that are related to the news that we cover on the show. All right, so we also did a video on Charlize Theron. I never know how to say her name correctly, but it was a controversial story because she had compared Googling herself to being raped. So understandably, people who are actual victims of rape were upset by it. And the question that we asked in that segment was, have you ever said or done anything that you have absolutely regretted? And Freedom12345573 said the following. Well, I am thankful I am of an age where we didn't have everything caught on camera like today, but I said something to a very close friend in college that was horrible, and I cried every time I saw him for about 6 months. This is not an example of me yelling at someone and being mean, but rather putting a huge foot in my mouth. My buddy liked to troll around for skanky girls. Okay, not sure why, but he had a thing for trashy looking women. I know I sound judgy. Hey, we were 21. Anyway, one night at a bar, he was talking to this really trashy looking woman, and I said, Mark, you can do way better than that. Why are you doing this? Mark looked at me and said, that's my sister. And it was. Oh my God, 25 years later, I still cringe. Well, Freedom, I totally understand how you're putting your foot in your mouth in that situation, but you're doing it again by basically doubling down on the fact that you think that she looked trashy. So let's stop calling her trashy. Let's find another way to refer to her and move on. We all make mistakes. I've said some pretty terrible things accidentally. I have a really funny story, actually. I remember one time when I went to the plastic surgeon to do a consultation about my nose job, keeping it real. My mom came with me, and the woman who was doing the consultation had breast implants. And so she was talking about how her breast implants were done by the surgeon, and he does a really great job. It's all, he makes it look natural. And my mom said to her, oh, I just saw this story about how breast implants lead to cancer. And I was like, oh, Mom, what are you doing? What are you doing? And sometimes we don't think about it. We think that we're sharing something personal about ourselves, or we're sharing an important bit of news that's actually going to help the person. But sometimes we don't think about the ramifications. So don't be so hard on yourself. We all do it. It was 25 years ago. I'm sure your friend recovered. All right, moving on to the next one. The next comment comes from God Only Knows 13, and it was in regard to a story we did about Antoine Dodson. Now, when Antoine Dodson first became a public figure, he was openly gay, and then all of a sudden he decided that he wanted to transition or convert to a straight person. Now, I don't believe that you can do that. I think that it's a biological thing and you can't change your sexuality, but he did have a child, and he was commenting about what he would do if his child were gay, and he said that he would try to accept his child. So that's, I guess, a good part of the story. And God Only Knows 13 wanted to share his story. The question that we asked was, have you ever had to deal with somebody who doesn't tolerate your lifestyle? Here's what God Only Knows says. I came out to my family as an atheist when I was about 15. They were really cool with it. On the whole, I felt like my atheism was okay with them. That said, there has always been this weirdness. It's a certain awkwardness in the air whenever someone will suggest we say grace before dinner, or sometimes my grandma will invite me to go to church with her, which she doesn't do for my brother or sister. I feel very removed from them in this small yet significant way. Whenever these situations arise, it's like I'm a stranger to them rather than a member of the family. I can imagine that it would be difficult to come out as an atheist to a religious family. My family is also extremely religious. I was raised Christian. I went to Sunday school every week up until the age of 19. And now that I consider myself an agnostic atheist, of course, there are some members of my family that are disappointed in my decision to do so. But you have to be true to yourself. One thing that I always try to remind myself is that we live a very, very short life. Some people live till they're 100, but it still flies by. So due to that, you gotta stay true to yourself, be principled, do what you believe is right. And you will be happy. You won't be happy if you lie to yourself and lie to other people just so you can please them. It wasn't until I got closer to my 30s, I'm 28 now, that I started becoming really comfortable in my own skin, and I'm the happiest that I've ever been, and I'm unapologetic about who I am, and that's a really, really liberating and empowering feeling. So I'm happy that you did that, and hopefully things will get better with your family in the future. Stay true to who you are. All right, next one is from the video that we did on the myth of Slenderman, and the question that we asked was, what is one myth that you either used to believe in or still do to this day? And Alex Tina said the following: Slenderman, what's so scary about this skinny octopus thing? Dude ain't real. And if he is, I dare him to get near my hood out here. He'll be robbed shoeless, suitless, watchless, and left crying like a little girl on the street. Also probably end up as someone's new girlfriend/wife. Now, Mothman, that dude can fly and shit, scary as fuck. I don't know who Mothman is, but sounds scarier than Slenderman. I'll give you that. All right, I like that answer. I like the passion in that answer. It was really, really fun to read. All right, finally, we did the video about a kid who lost his finger at a rave while he was trying to pull down an emergency alarm. And even though he lost his finger, he kept dancing because the bass was real, okay? And so the question we asked was, have you ever had an I don't give a fuck moment? And Paralyzed Biker says the following: I was paralyzed 6 years ago in a motorcycle accident when a car merged into me and the highway, and I slid headfirst into the guardrail at 70 miles per hour on my back. I was paralyzed from the chest down and nearly lost my left arm. I spent 9 months in the hospital, and after shortly, I got out and bought a new motorcycle and designed a landing gear system so I could still ride, then had it built. So that's an incredible story. He continues on to say, I have also started a charity to get people and veterans with disabilities involved in motorsports. That was my big I don't give a fuck moment. So I love that story because it shows you just how resilient this person is. I think a lot of people would just look at the downsides of the situation, focus on the fact that they're paralyzed, and kind of give up on life or resign from life. And I love the fact that Paralyzed Biker decided to do great things based on the tragedy that he had to endure. It's such an inspiring story, a motivational story, and I love hearing stuff like that because it makes me realize that there are so many things that we take for granted on a daily basis. Being able to do things on your own and being able to take care of people around you. I mean, that is something that we definitely take for granted every day. So Paralyzed Biker, thank you so much for sharing that story. It's so personal, so motivating, and you are an amazing person. I actually feel really proud to know that we have members of our audience that are as resilient as you are. And guys, like I said, share your stories because we do love hearing from you. We will read the comments that we like the most in this segment once a month, and hopefully you guys are enjoying your show or enjoying my show. Definitely check us out every week, and we will hear from you soon. Have a good one.